Macklin Celebrini, a first overall pick who came in with tremendous hype and lived up to it, putting up the most points in rookie season by a San Jose Shark.
I think he's the most complete 18-year-old that we've seen in a long time.
He's an incredible player. His all-around game at his age is pretty impressive.
It's official. Heading into next season, the hype around Macklin Celebrini is at an all-time high. He's already drawing comparisons to Sidney Crosby, even getting praise from the man himself, and that's only fueled debate over just how high this kid's ceiling really is. So, how good is Macklin Celebrini already, and is all the hype really deserved? Well, let's take a deeper look. Now, the NHL offseason is finally almost over, and that means everything's coming back, baby. The NFL's return, the MLB's still kicking, and the NHL preseason starts soon. And if you want to get in on the action and see a game live for a great deal, then you gotta use SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best and easiest way to score a deal on your tickets. They rate every seat from a score of 1 to 10, so you know exactly what kind of deal you're getting. If it's red, it means that deal is no bueno. If it's green, that's a banger, and you should snatch up those tickets. The best part is SeatGeek is hooking us up for the summertime. You just gotta use code HOCKEY15 at checkout, and they'll give you 15% off your next order. If you watch the channel, you know I go to games all year round. I'm always surfing the app. The NFL's finally back. The NHL preseason is right around the corner, and SeatGeek is going to have some sweet last-minute deals for those games when you download the app yourself. So for your next live event, make sure you use code HOCKEY15 to get 15% off your next purchase. All you got to do is just click the link in our description down below to get the best seats in the house while scoring a great deal from SeatGeek. Since the year 2000, only 2 players had a more productive season as an 18-year-old than Macklin Celebrini. At the top is Sidney Crosby, and right behind him is Patrick Laine. Wow, remember that? Now, that is a pretty big gap between players and what they ended up being throughout their careers, and projecting them to be Crosby's level is a massive leap. With a stacked rookie class, Celebrini didn't take home the Calder, but there is an argument to be made that he would have if he played a full 82-game season. Despite dealing with an injury at the beginning of the year, he still put up 63 points in 70 games, and his overall play has fans legitimately wondering whether or not he is or will be better than his fellow countryman and Connor Bedard. Why? Well, at 18 years old, Celebrini plays a complete 200-foot game that just isn't in the realm of normality for players his age and even older. Now, let's be clear, the San Jose Sharks were still absolute ass last year, but with Celebrini, they have a foundational piece that plays a style that is usually found in a championship-winning formula. First, let's start with what he did better than almost anyone in the NHL this season, and that was creating offense off the rush. At the core of any elite or special talent is this very skill, and when you look at the advanced numbers, Macklin Celebrini's rush offense ranks in the 100th percentile, which is only reserved for the very best in the league. That means that as a rookie, he was just as, if not more effective than guys like McKinnon, McDavid, and Hughes at creating offense off the rush. How exactly is he doing that at 18? Well, there's consistent habits and techniques that these players execute to become a nightmare to defend in these situations. The primary one is the ability to attack within the dot lanes, which, if you drew a line, is essentially attack in the middle of the ice. Believe it or not, this is very hard to do consistently with how well modern NHL defenders gap up and how strong back pressure can be to leave little space for players to cook. But what attacking within the dot lanes does is it forces defenders to have to make tough decisions and potentially switch assignments. Watch here as Celebrini gets the puck outside of the dots, but then shifts into the middle to pull this defender over to him. Just by attack in the middle, that opens up the outside lane for his winger, and for there, he can use some of Nunna's sauce and dish it over to the open wing. The beauty part of this play, though, is that he follows up by attacking that same space that the defender leaves open to try and close off the winger. Sure enough, Celebrini is wide open on the doorstep to finish it. Now, because he's so good at mixing his poise and deception with his skating while attacking in between the dots, he can single-handedly dismantle neutral zone structures. Here, Calgary is fully set up in their 1-2-2, and right away, Celebrini is in position to blow by the F1 because he attacks on an angle and in between the dots. Once he gets by the first layer, he knows that Calgary wants to force any play to the wall prior to the entry, so Celebrini leans into that. He's going to give a little, hey, how are you, head and body fake to open up the C's and get a controlled zone entry. The play eventually doesn't go anywhere thanks to a muffin, but the way Celebrini stacks these rush situations in his favor is something that we only see from the very elite of the game. In his approach in these situations, he's always trying to attack on an angle instead of attacking on a straight line or straight on. Defenders love that shit. It's easy to defend, so Celebrini instantly likes to cross over to get that angle and thread in the middle of the ice. His head and eyes are up, looking at the winger for a potential pass, which naturally pulls the defender into the middle. Quick pull to the backhand, and this is where the mastery comes in. The D does a decent job at pushing Celebrini to the outside dot lane, so he changes speeds. A cheeky little anchor play with the heel of his foot allows him to slow right down so that he can pivot before the gap closes in. Spinorama feed off his zone entry ends up in a goal for San Jose. Keep the change. Not only does he dictate the speed of the game, but he can match it as well. On this set breakout with William Macklin carrying the mill, look at how perfectly Celebrini matches his speed and presents himself as an option all the way through. The raw speed of Eklund is enough to get by the first layer of Minnesota, and as soon as he gains the blue, Celebrini hits another gear to hit this pocket of space in the blind spot behind the D to give his man an option. He doesn't score, but Eklund cleans up the rebound off a beautiful rush play where overwhelming speed and timing made it incredibly difficult to defend. This ability to control the pace of his attack both with and without the puck leaves defenders trying to constantly adjust to Celebrini's speed when coming down the ice. Naturally, with a player of his talent and IQ in these situations, we saw many times last year just how much defending teams gravitate towards him with numbers. That's exactly what you want to see, and that naturally opens up more options for the Sharks to attack off the rush. Looking at the numbers, Celebrini was by far the most effective Sharks player when it came to rush offense, but the most impressive part is that he also led all Sharks players in cycle creation as well. This is the type of offense that generally matters the most come playoff time. You'll notice that the best playoff teams and performers thrive off the cycles by working off their teammates, winning battles, and sprinting to space to improve the offensive flow. It's why a player like Alexander Barkov ranked first in the NHL last season when it came to shots off the forecheck and cycle. Celebrini's first career hat trick was a shining example of how intelligent he is with his spacing and off these plays. The first goal, he's going to attack the soft spot in coverage, which keeps pretty much four Wild players tight and honest to the slot. That's going to open up the point shot, and as the puck swings high, Celebrini gets inside positioning, and look who's on the doorstep. Thanks for the tuck. That's goal number one. Now on goal number two, this entire play is just elite off-puck movement and IQ. He's going to start by winning his battle along the wall and then running a high scissor play with his defender. It does sound so simple, but he goes to where there's space and attacks the blind side of Minnesota's coverage. Before the cycle is even initiated, Celebrini is already en route to pick up the puck with space. This aspect is very important too. He takes a head scan to know where everyone is before arriving on the puck. His first touch is quick and instantaneous, and it's a hard rim down low, but the kid is wicked smart, and right away he jumps into the space to present himself as an option. Bang bang shrimp, bang bang play, he's got goal number 2 on the night. But the hat trick goal is even better. With his teammate rounding around the net, Celebrini needs to beat his man to the net to become a dangerous option. Considering he's behind the Wild checker, a straightforward route likely won't do the trick. So how about a little misdirection? He originally begins to thread in the middle. The Wild player even head checks to make sure he's got Celebrini marked, and in his peripherals, he sees that Celebrini is indeed heading towards the middle. So he starts to do the same. The kid says, "Psych, you thought," and makes a hard cutback towards the far post, and at this point, the Wild forward Eriksson Ek knows he read it wrong, breaks out the twister splits to try and react, but it's way too late, and it's a hat trick for the kid and an absolute masterclass from the youngest player in the league. This is the type of off-puck awareness that we see from players like Kucherov, and he does it so well and so frequently that you wonder how the hell is he always in the right spot. Celebrini, at just 18 years old, is already showing signs that he can think the game at a way higher level than his opponent. Now, offensively, the Sharks were still the worst team in the NHL last season, but Celebrini, as a rookie, still almost put up a point per game. As the support around him develops and the sheer volume of rush chances and cycle offense begin to convert, they will eventually turn into more wins. However, the same could be said for defense, where Celebrini is also leading the charge. What separates him from the rest of the rookie class, as well as pretty much most players in their early 20s, is the details in his defensive side of the game. Starting with the breakout, and as a center, it's his job to go low and slow to support his defenders to get the puck going on offense. And even as a rookie, he's got a knack for anticipating threats and winning wall battles. At one point last year, he was actually leading all players in puck battles won per game. The kid is an absolute dog on the puck, and he isn't overly large either. At 6 feet, 190 pounds, he's already so good at angling puck carries with a stick into dead space and then using his frame to muscle them off pucks. Just like his offensive mind, he knows where to be to stop cycle plays and attempted slot passes to break up the other team's attack. Even when on offense, like San Jose is here, battling in the corner, Celebrini as the F3 in center knows it ain't smart to dive in and join this battle because it can lead to an odd man rush the other way. So he's just going to get above the puck just a second earlier than everyone else, and sure enough, Washington wins the battle, but because he's in the right spot defensively, he can apply immediate pressure, stop the breakout, and turn it into a Shark possession. In this sense, he reminds me a lot of Alexander Barkov as well, and how he controls the middle of the ice better than anyone. Celebrini understands at a very young age that defense and offense are closely intertwined. 95% of the game is played without the puck, and so how you get it back is incredibly important. Celebrini, as an 18-year-old rookie, understands this incredibly well, and we've already seen flashes of how he can dictate the pace of the game on the defensive side of the puck. Of course, there's still areas of improvement. He was still a -31 last year, which isn't good. This ain't golf, but he was playing on the Sharks, who were also the worst team defensively. Now, overall, the Sharks' abysmal year still left their fans very optimistic. And a large reason why is because of Macklin Celebrini. As the youngest player in the NHL, I didn't expect Celebrini to be this good this fast. And among the next crop of potential superstars that are ready to take over the NHL, he's already making the argument as to who is truly the future face of the league. San Jose may still be a few years away from legitimate contention, but when they are there, at the cornerstone of all of it will be Macklin Celebrini.